Hey, Education Day. What's up, guys? Hey, so I'm gonna be honest, this is my second take. I got a little worried with the last one, but the topic today is about sports-specific training, okay? And I'm also gonna talk about this thing called buzzwords, okay? I did a vlog years ago. It feels like years ago, but I'm no longer doing a vlog, which people have encouraged me to do that, but I'm doing the podcast. And there's a podcast coming out that's related to this topic and your journey and so forth. But the buzzword of sports-specific training, right? A lot of people, parents, you as an athlete think, I need to go somewhere where I'm gonna get sports-specific training. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Sports-specific training to me means that that person or that trainer, strength coach, whatever, has a very specific understanding of the sport and demands. And another layer to that is if they have a degree, that's gonna help because they understand the body and the mechanism and so forth. But then you get somebody that's played that sport or understands the mechanics of that, it's gonna help even more, okay? Now, people use the word on flyers, in Instagram posts to use the word, hey, I do sports-specific training with athletes. That's great. That's really good because hopefully that means they understand how the sport happens and so forth. But what I've seen happen over the years, and again, I'm still young, right? Like I'm 32. Sorry, I'll be 33 this February. But I truly understand the demands of baseball, softball. I played multiple other sports, basketball, not at a high level as baseball. But I understand the inner workings of sport. I also feel like I understand the body very well and how to get it to be optimal, okay? And so let me talk to you about something about buzzwords, okay? So buzzwords draw people in, okay? Sports-specific training, I need to go there. Oh, I want a functional trainer, I'm gonna go there, that kind of stuff. So let me give you an example. I did a study session with a trainer recently, and he was struggling with him and his business partner. They're husband and wife, and they were like, you know, we do functional training, and people loving that kind of stuff. I'm like, I love it. Functional training, for our bodies to move, we have to be able to function, right? So I guess being functional makes sense. The less functional we are, the worse we're off. Totally get it. So I asked him a question. Well, give me an example of what you mean by functional training, right? Because I need to understand what they were saying. He's like, well, for example, right? He said, for example, and I was like, sweet, this guy's getting fired up. Let's talk about this. He's pumped, he's passionate. And I love talking to people that are passionate. He said, you know, for example, like, you know, people sit all day. So when they come to train with us, we're functional. We stand them up the whole time. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I asked him a question. I asked him and her a question. I said, hey, say for example, you've got somebody that's a factory worker that comes to work with you and they stand all day, right? And you talked about how you want people to stand when they work out because they sit all day and you want to combat that sitting, right? Do you have those people that stand all day sit down and exercise or lie down and do exercise? And he looked at me like this. He was like, oh. He didn't have an answer. He's like, well, no, because they need to stand. I'm like, well, they've been standing all day, right? And so the hard part is that their basic understanding was we need to be standing all the time. And I don't disagree with that, right? I don't know if I would stand when I sleep. We need to rest and recover, but I get the paradigm, right? There's this bias of we need to be standing all the time because we saw a few research papers that say that sitting is worse than smoking cigarettes. And I don't disagree with that stat. And when it comes to us being not moving, like what's going with this whole lockdown, a lot of us are not moving. But the cool thing that I'm seeing is more people are walking, which is super awesome. So you've got to be careful when people use words like functional, sports specific, and that kind of stuff. Now let's get back into sports specific. You should work with somebody that's going to train you for your sport, prepare you for the sport and the rigors of that sport. If you're a rotational athlete, which most of us do rotate in sport, you need to work on rotation. You need to be able to work on the ability to stop rotation, which is the beginning of being able to rotate. Just like driving a car. When you go to drive a car, the most important thing you need to understand is where the brake is, not where the gas is. We know that, but if you know that you can go, but you can't stop, you don't know where the brake pedal is to stop, you're not gonna do very good. So the ability of being able to stop the car, put it in idle, pause for a moment, then be able to go is crucial. So we can talk about that. But sport-specific training is crucial to prepare you for your sport. But I wanna get a little bit deeper than this. Anybody can prescribe or do exercises that make it sport-specific, right? Do rotation, do this, but can somebody make a tailored program for you that is for you to prepare you for the sport that you play? Let's talk about this and make this simple and break down sport-specific training, okay? Sport-specific training is essentially operating around the thing that is the most important thing on your field, the court, whatever it is. In most sports, it is a ball. If I take baseball and softball, how to field a ball, throw a ball, your interaction around that ball is what your training should be like. It doesn't mean it should mimic it, but preparing your body to be able to interact around the ball as efficiently as possible. It's as simple as that, right? So it's like, okay, one, assess the person. Are they not moving very well here? But in their sport, in the position they play, these are the positions they need to get into and be good at that, right? Then from there, you can level up and add on power, strength, all these different types of things. If you can't move very well around the most important thing on the field, court, grass, whatever it is, that's the most important thing. So when it comes to sport-specific training, you have to be able to move and interact with that ball that you're playing with as best as possible. Now, for example, if you look at golf, it's more how your body moves and being in rhythm because the ball's not moving, right? It's just standstill ball. It's more of a mental game. So I would probably encourage golfers to get on the mental side with any sport, actually. So be careful of trainers that use this word sport-specific training. Really what it comes down to is how well can you interact around the ball. And the person that can assess you and make appropriate decisions saying, hey, you're not moving very well in these areas. We've got to work on this, strengthen you, but do some movement stuff. Let's do that. Can we give you better control of your body? Because if you've got better control of your body, you're going to play your sport as best as possible. And that can mean that you need strength. That can mean that you need agility. It might mean that I'm getting excited. It might mean that you need to work on some movement type stuff, learning how to get into positions that your body, because you're growing or you've played a sport for so long that your body's gotten in this rut of moving a certain way. How well can we get you to move and interact around that ball as best as possible? So I guess if I use a car analogy, if we can get your car to run as efficiently as possible, driving is going to be easy, right? It's kind of as simple as that. So be careful of people that haven't, I would say dove in, but that haven't taken the plunge, let's say that, haven't taken the plunge of understanding the sport and the rigors of it. Like if you look at softball versus baseball in the summer, most baseball teams that are in high school, middle school, stay around this area. Most softball teams, especially when you get to high school at a high level, you're never here in this state, ever. So how do you prepare an athlete to handle the rigors of now flying across country, flying and being somewhere in a hotel for a weekend? How do you prepare your bodies for that? That's just as much sport specific and the environment that you're gonna be in as it is training in the weight room. So hopefully I encourage you guys, be careful people using buzzwords to take your money, right? You gotta protect that and make sure you're doing the best you can with your resources and the most important resource, which I think is time. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll see you guys next week or later this week for the next video or installment.